Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Daily English Show. This is the first regular show of the Daily English Show Canada. We're going to continue to have guests on Monday. There'll be a variety of guests and I'll ask them a variety of questions focusing on language. Today's guest is Matt. Matt is another woofer here at Mariposa Organic Farm. Matt is from Oakville, which is near Toronto. I asked Matt a few questions about accents. First I asked him if when he meets another Canadian he can tell where in Canada they come from just by their accent.
You can sometimes tell. I have a harder time telling. People from that area know. They're like, oh, you're from Eastern Canada, just from their accent. And it slightly changes then in the cities. People from the cities, sometimes you can tell they're from a city, the way they talk. Often they have more of an American sounding English. And then if you're from the prairies, Saskatchewan and Alberta, you may have a slight accent. But all in all, Canadian accent is similar, except for on the east. I'd say that's the most different.
I also asked him whether or not he could tell the difference between an Australian accent and a New Zealand accent.
But it's really hard to tell for me, although I haven't met too many New Zealanders, Kiwis. But no, Canadians, they don't really, I don't think that most can tell the difference between Australian accents and New Zealand accents. I've started to learn because my mom would often tell me which was different when I met someone from South Africa. She knew, and I guess I'm learning from her. But I think most people from Canada wouldn't be able to tell unless they were influenced directly from someone who was from South Africa or New Zealand, Australia, England. Because then they could tell the different tones of the voice and stuff. So I'm beginning to learn, most of the time I could.
Can you teach me some Toronto slang? Can you tell me about Canadian spelling? Why did you decide to do woofing? Have you learned a lot? Do you think you'll do organic farming in the future?
Actually, there's a special slang word that started in Oakville, specifically where I'm from. Chait. Have you ever heard this word before?
No.
It means cheap, or like if someone gives you something that, let's say they're selling you drugs and it wasn't as much as you thought you'd get, then you'd say they're chait because they're kind of cheapskates, chait, yeah. But supposedly it came from this guy who was named Chait, that was his last name, and he was a really cheap bastard, and he would he was Chait. And but specific for Toronto, I don't know any. I just hear different ones, and I'm not sure where they're from. If they're from Toronto, if they're from Canada, or if they're from England. Usually you get bored of these slang you grew up with, so you're looking for a new slang. A lot of British slang like bloody, and tons coming out now from England, geezer. We never use geezer, but that would be a British slang, and some people use it now in Canada, yeah. For instance, color is spelt C-O-L-O-U-R, and in the States it's spelt C-O-L-O-R. So that's a big difference. I remember trying to remember that when I was spelling those. Center spelled R-E at the end instead of E-R. Okay, I like traveling, or I want to be a world traveler. and I was sick of suburbia where I grew up, and then I met some people who went woofing, and they were really amazing people. So whatever they did, I was sure that it was a great idea, and I wanted to sort of follow in their footsteps in some ways. And so I looked into woofing, and here I am today, woofing. So it's been great. Yeah, I've learned a ton. And a lot of experiences too, like things that would never happen to me unless I came here. Like seeing rattlesnakes, playing with chickens in the chicken coop, like hiking halfway up a mountain, having cats sitting on this picnic table. So yeah, tons of stuff, and I've learned a lot about farming. That's part of the reason I wanted to come here, because I was interested in organic farming, seeing farming as like a romantic lifestyle, and also a political stance, support farmers because that's where our food's coming from. And if the family farm type mentality falls apart, then we're left with corporate farms, like factory farming and stuff like that. So I want to see what farming's all about so that I can better understand the whole system, how it works. I'm still thinking about that. Like, I've also learned that farming is a lot of work. A lot of work goes into it, and it's not easy. So maybe a small-scale organic farm, or working with other people on the organic farm, but I don't think I could ever have my own large-scale farm at all, like some people do. But what I'd like to do when I go back to Toronto is work on some community gardens, really like share my skills that I've learned here to create like a really productive community garden. And so that blends like culture, community with food and gardening, and it feels good. Like I like that sort of stuff, but that's just me.
Where's Matt from? A. Oakville. B. Oaktown. C. Mapleville. A. Where is Oakville? A. Near Vancouver. B. In British Columbia. C. Near Toronto. C. Is it easy for Matt to tell the difference between a New Zealand and an Australian accent? A. No, it's not easy. B. Yes, it's easy. C. Yes, it's very easy. A. Which is the correct Canadian spelling? B. Which is the correct Canadian spelling? A. And that was the Daily English Show. See you tomorrow.
So there's slight variations between certain Canadians and certain Americans. Depends where you are in Canada and where you are in America. Sometimes, yeah. If they're from the East. Where are you from?